Izwi lethu. Ngizomkholela ivoice. KLM Solidarity Statement on the 60th commemoration of African Liberation Day. KLM sends revolutionary greetings to all African people and progressive organizations on the continent and its diaspora on the 60th commemoration of African Liberation Day. KLM, a coalition of diverse Kenyan individuals, organizations, initiatives, and movements, generally identifies as progressive within struggles for civil, political, social, cultural, economic, and ecological justice and freedoms. Also sends its fraternal greetings to all organizations and movements gathered here today, and especially those organizing this event. But as we wish you a progressive commemoration of this African Liberation Day, we concurrently ask that you all pause for a moment and think about the millions of African people facing repression, depression, war, ecological disaster, economic terrorism, and the stripping of their dignity in whatever form it takes. We ask all Africans to stand with our brothers and sisters facing untold suffering and hardship on the continent, especially those affected this year by Tropical Storm Freddy, which hit Malawi in March 2023, and most recently those affected by the ongoing war in Sudan, which began in April 2023. We additionally ask all African people, wherever they may be, to show solidarity to our brothers and sisters in the African diaspora who every day face racism, including its systematic manifestations. We arrive at this juncture with our people still bound by politics dictated from Washington and Brussels, as Patrice Lumumba, that beloved son of Africa, eloquently stated decades ago. We arrive at this moment with colonial patterns of economics still intact and prevalent across the continent, anchored majorly by a comprador class of sellouts and their masters across the seas and oceans. We arrive at this moment facing ecological devastation. We arrive at this moment with the African liberation struggle still unfinished. We, however, also arrive at this moment with a reawakening, a Mwamko. Our young people are meeting again, and they are telling stories of resistance, stories of African unity, stories of justice, peace, and dignity. Our organization is today here at the Kenya National Theatre, proud to join other organizations in calling for land, food, and freedom. We, however, also remember that this National Theatre was officially opened in 1952, the same year that the state of emergency was declared, as a means of enabling British settlers escape the reality of Africans in revolt and resistance. History calls upon us to once again make it a theatre of the people. Our movements are today calling for a borderless Africa. Our environmentalists are calling for ecological sovereignty. Our feminists are calling for gender equality. KLM reiterates that these calls are all important and they must be treated with the respect they deserve, both within and without our organizations, in whatever spaces we find ourselves in. Like floods of revolt, we arrive at this critical juncture of the unfinished African liberation struggle, demanding for reparations and restitution of stolen lands. In essence, we demand for full political and economic independence. We also recognize that the only viable pathway to that which we demand is organizing and mass work. That is why KLM continues to organize the masses of our people. Our immediate ask, however, is that all comrades should engage in continuous political education and action. For as Cabral reminds us, no matter how hot the water in your well is, it cannot cook rice. That rice needs fire to cook, and we at KLM reaffirm political education as the fire that fuels our resistance and our revolution by extension. Aluta continua.
Education that we are doing here, and we shall continue to do so. As we call upon the designated person to come and read the message from the All African People's Revolutionary Party, the International Solidarity Message, I want to read the message from the SPLM. The SPLM North. This is a group of revolutionaries that are in serious revolution, and they have been there. I remember talking to Sabir, telling me that he has not been home in more than 2 decades. He's never seen the family, he's never seen anybody, that he used to grow up with, because he has been permanently entrenched in revolutionary activism. And there is war there, they are fighting in Sudan. So here is a message from the SPLM. My sisters and brothers, Happy Africa Liberation Day 2023. I start by the words of our hero Kwame Nkrumah when he says, "We face neither east nor west, we face forward." We are grateful to the valiant heroes who battled in the freedom we take for granted today. Let's honor their memory by showing kindness to everyone. The main goal of the celebrations is to draw attention to the harm that colonialism had done in the continent of Africa and to African unity as a whole. It represented an effort to restore the sense of continental identity and cohesion. The history of the Sudanese people has been one of the continuous struggle between the exploited and the exploiter, the oppressed and the oppressors. As our present revolutionary struggle, spearheaded by SPLM North, is an integral part and continuation of these past struggles of our people to regain African Sudanese dignity and nationhood that has been mutilated over the centuries. The current war in Khartoum, whereby many lives have been lost and destroying the infrastructure of the capital and other cities in Sudan. But the reality is that this war is not liberation war. It is not a war that is meant to bring the rights and dignity to our poor Africans. This war is about power struggle amongst most wanted and killer generals. We support no one. Simply, it is not our war for justice and establishing a democratic system that is based on respecting human rights and peaceful transfer of power. The modalities for solving the problem of the people of the Sudan from the point of view of the SPLM is based on the Pan-Africanist ideals of fundamental change, unity, and national renaissance. This is reflected in the objective strategies and tactics of the SPLM, which will allow us to connect the Sudanese struggle and the Pan-Africanist movement worldwide. Together, we can build an integrated, prosperous, and peaceful Africa. Africa Liberation Day brings us together with fellow brothers and sisters from across the continent to forge greater unity. It helps us better understand each other as Africans, both in the continent and in the diaspora. Africa Liberation Day is an opportunity for us to join hands with one another towards developing our continent. It is a time to unite as one Africa and build a better continent and a better, safer, and prosperous world for all. Together we can foster unity amongst all Africans across the continent in support of the agenda of 2063. Aluta continua, Comrade Sabir Ibrahim.
Greetings. Izweletu, Africa. Greetings to everyone. African Liberation Day, a permanent institution in the African Revolutionary. The All African People's Revolutionary Party wants to congratulate the African Liberation Day Planning Committee in occupied Azania for organizing African Liberation Day. African Liberation Day is a permanent institution in the worldwide Pan-African movement, as a day of work in the area of political education and organization. It reflects the fact that we have not obtained our freedom, and thus it is a day to reaffirm our commitment to Pan-Africanism, the total liberation and unification of Africa under scientific socialism. At African Liberation Day, we also deepen our understanding of other just struggles and affirm our role in the world socialist revolution. Wherever there are Africans, there must be an African Liberation Day commemorations. We stand in solidarity with the Planning Committee for contributing to the process of awakening the masses by organizing African Liberation Day in occupied Azania. We, the All African People's Revolutionary Party, will continue the work of organizing the African masses from now and into the future and build an organization linking the African masses together in the motherland and throughout the diaspora. We will move as one to fight against imperialism and neo-colonialism. Thus, we stand with you, highlighting the theme, imperialism and neo-colonialism must be destroyed. Africans, we stand. Ready for revolution. Izwe letu, Africa,
Izwe.
I thank you.
Thank you, Africa. As we move forward with our program, I want to read a message from the... Where am I in my program now? Okay. Yes, I do want to read a message from the Arab Republic of Syria, the government of Syria, that sent us a message as we welcome Comrade Dudu Shaba, a member of the Standing Committee of AZAPO. Dear comrades, we would like to express our gratitude to you, our African comrades, for granting us the opportunity to speak on this momentous day, Africa Liberation Day. It is an honor and a privilege to share our thoughts and perspectives. On behalf of the government and people of Syria, we extend our heartfelt support and unwavering solidarity to you in your ongoing struggle against the forces of imperialism and neocolonialism. Your commitment and perseverance in the face of oppression and injustice serve as an inspiration to all those fighting for liberation and self-determination. In Syria, we understand well the devastating consequences of imperialism and the imposition of new colonialist agendas. Our nation has faced the wrath of external powers seeking to exert control, exploit resources, and suppress the will of our people. We have experienced the pain and suffering that come hand in hand with these oppressive forces, and we stand united with you in your resistance. Your relentless efforts to challenge the status quo, dismantle systems of oppression, and assert the rights of the African people are commendable. Your struggles resonate deeply with us, and we firmly believe that your fight is not just yours alone, but a shared struggle against the chains of imperialism that bind us all. As Syria continues its own path of struggle against neocolonialism, we recognize the importance of international solidarity and collaboration. We are committed to standing shoulder to shoulder with you, sharing experiences, knowledge, and resources, and working collectively to combat the forces that seek to exploit our people and perpetuate global inequalities. In these times of adversity, it is crucial to remember that together our voices are stronger and our resistance is more powerful. By forging bonds of solidarity and mutual support, we can amplify our collective efforts and make significant strides towards dismantling the structures of imperialism and neocolonialism. In this regard, we urge the esteemed comrades to lend their support in the urgent endeavor of expeditiously lifting the unilateral coercive measures imposed upon Syria by the United States and European Union. These measures, implemented illegally without the consent or mandate of the international community, have inflicted profound suffering upon the Syrian people, impeding their path towards reconstruction and rehabilitation. It is incumbent upon us to unite our voices, resolutely denouncing these unjust measures and advocating for their immediate lift, thus enabling Syria to embark upon the arduous journey of restoration and rejuvenation. Furthermore, we earnestly implore the solidarity of our esteemed comrades in bolstering the efforts of the Syrian government in the intricate process of reconstruction and the safe and dignified return of displaced persons and refugees. By aligning yourselves with the Syrian government's initiatives, you can help pave the way for a secure and prosperous future. In addition, we humbly urge our esteemed comrades to rally behind Syria's just and lawful claim to restore the occupied Syrian Golan. The unlawful occupation of the Syrian Golan by the Israel stands as an egregious transgression against the tenets of international law and the territorial integrity of the Syrian Arab Republic. The government and people of Syria send their deepest respect, admiration, and solidarity to you and all peoples of Africa. We stand with you as you fight for your rights, your land, and your freedom. Together, let us confront imperialism and new colonialism head-on, knowing that our shared struggle will pave the way for a more just and equitable world. We thank you. That was the message from the Arab Republic of Syria. Now, thank you, comrades. I suspect we read all of the messages that we had received. Before we read the last message that we have received, I want us to deal with a small program. There is the Africa Liberation Day Awards that have been put together by the All African People's Revolutionary Party. There are two awards that will be awarded today, and that is the Kwame Ture Black Star of Labour Award, as well as the Mawina Kuyate Daughters of Africa Award. I want to call upon Comrade Malusi to come and deal with this program. A revolutionary song by Africa.
Thank you, Comrade Chair. The African Liberation Day 2023 Awards, the first award named after a long-time activist and revolutionary, a founder of the All African People's Revolutionary Party, Kwame Ture, also known as, formerly known as Stokely Carmichael. And the Kwame Ture Black Star of Labour Award recipient for 2023 is the Black Alliance for Peace, a US-based organization which has been relentless in its pursuit of combating US imperialism in an organized manner. They have agitated and educated the masses in lectures and workshops about and against AFRICOM. AFRICOM being the US military African command, and the necessity for AFRICOM to be abolished. This directly impacts the objective of Pan-Africanism, given that AFRICOM will make certain that Africa remains in part or whole an enemy zone, if not contested zone. BAP also educates about militarism domestically with a focus on black and brown people. BAP has been a consistent voice against the Ukraine war and continues to be specific about its criticisms. With regards to Ukraine, this consists in criticism of the aid sent to Ukraine and exposing the intentions behind the said aid. BAP continues to provide critical and revolutionary analysis against the barrage of misinformation spat out by imperialists to maintain support for or lack of opposition against their wars. So the Kwame Ture Black Star of Labour Award for 2023 was given to the Black Alliance for Peace. The second award, Ma-Africa, which is also named after another long-standing revolutionary and activist and a founding member of the All-African Women's Revolutionary Union, Mawina Kuyate. And it's the Mawina Kuyate Daughters of Africa Award. And the 2023 recipients of that award is the National Union of Sahrawi Women. The National Union of Sahrawi Women, NUSW, is internationally active in organizing support for Sahrawi women and for Sahrawi liberation and independence, but also campaigns for women's rights within the exile community and in political decision-making. They are heralded also for their recent anti-imperialist move, that is willingness to courageously go back to armed struggle to gain independence, to share the work they have been doing despite many having to live in refugee camps. They are participating in the 2023 African Liberation Day Women's Panel. And those who had the opportunity to engage with the International African Liberation Day, which was held on the 25th of May, 2023, day before yesterday, would have seen the representative of the NUSW on the panel. Thank you, Ma-Africa. Is village.
Thank you. Thank you, Comrade Balozi. That revolutionary song. Come to the podium. Africa, ibambe.
Africa, I just need to make this proper announcement, and we must fulfill this assignment quickly. There's a list that requires your signature. It's you sign so that Steve Biko that we just sang about must be real and alive through AZAPO. There's an AZAPO request that we signed, 200 of us, just to show that AZAPO has critical mass support, and that critical mass support must come from us. It's a requirement in the IEC registration processes. Let's do that. I suggested to the leaders of AZAPO that we will make 200 signatures here today. Please, let's get to that mark. Sign the pages, kamo le kamo, so sign both sides. The next person we are going to have is also another general of the army. And in his creativity, he used to perform in the camp. He performs at the structures of the PAC. He's also a leader and a member of the NEC of the PAC, responsible for foreign affairs. Now you know him as General Mutau. You see, on stage and in Tanzania, he's Comrade Tsai Tsai. So when he performs here, Tsai Tsai the poet. Let's welcome him.
Africa erikifitise mlaetsa phela o mokhutswane. Engasi ribiana awule fail. Azania is in grasp. Retwerk amato. ANC relay everything for us to take over next year. About 2029, they don't know what they are talking about. 2024 is the year Yasobukwe, 100 years. There's no other way you can celebrate and commemorate that year without total liberation of Azania. Black faces twisted with pain. Gory red eyes fighting for protuberance through razor blades incisions, dwarfed by swollen cheeks, swollen brows, and extra large heads. And my question, Kibana Babuma. Their tongues glued to granite pallets awaiting efficient interrogators to dislodge, who egocentrically grin with satisfaction as a big blood flows here, and a hunky Tane also lost. And I want to know, Kibana Babumang, why suffer them so much suffering their treason of blasphemy unknown, meting out punishment in discriminatory anticipation? Or is it retrospective, atavistic victimization, which their persecution so urgently warrants? Kibana Babumang tragically facing harsh fate, like little puppies born of a beach in this worldly citadel of injustice. Let them suffer, let them take it, being a fate of their own choice, opting for the devilish and subservient black, rejecting the privileged white, whereas they could also have been yellow like the East. You insulted their dead bodies in Sharpeville with your snobbish un-African capitalism, and still, when Soweto spat fire, good shot, your drunken spirit shouted, intrigued by the marksman's accuracy. And every time that they suffer, your preoccupation is gulping down one more beer. Every day that they cry, your concern is making it time to the disco. And I ask you, Kibanabo Mumang, who must be oppressed, exiled, discriminated against, banned, banished, detained, tortured, and insulted. Kibanabo Mumang, who must fight for this freedom. Kibanabo Mumang, who must die for this freedom. Kibanabo Mumang, who must be in graves that are known. I am here to tell you, Kima Africa, Kiba Navachi Kalaka, Kiba Nababuru Naba Luchintukuluho, Kiba Haliba Tukuluho, Arbaruken Kamishan Mazasi. Africa General Shajwaya, who was my commander in exile, sang a song. You need to go and learn that song. You need to go and learn that song. You need to learn the song Babula Ilema Azania. Because that's the only way we are going to free our country. I am going to end up by doing a poem. This poem was a poem that was sung in the camps. It was created by one of our commanders, Sidney Mabusela, his late, may his soul rest in peace. And the other people, they used to call it the 7-man poem. I was the first reciter. I was doing the first one. Because of time, I'm not going to do all the stanzas. I'm just going to do the last one because it treasures. This is a poem that has withstood time, and it is still as relevant as if it was done. It was written in 1980 in Bagamoyo before it became Mutuping Academy. We are Africans, patient kings who commanded eclipses, debased scientists, masters of opaque empires. We are Azanians, truly adept children of the sun. The omniscient Nile remains witness of our might. We children who suck nipples of galaxies. Uranus, great navigators of Nubia, who honorously crossbred sound and light. Grandchildren at the court of King Monomotapa. Amazons at the crawl of Senzagakona. Buoyant swimmers of the Indian Ocean who conquered empires on elephants. We are Azanians. We are creators. We are creators of happiness. Majors fail to appreciate our music. Only the honorable midwife Millennium comprehends. Get away! Angels from the bottomless vomit of rationality. Get away! Monks who dine human flesh. Get away! Exploiters of men. We know you, robbers of life. We working tools that experience the highest zenith of ruthlessness. We from whom you extracted all vital juices know the boundaries of miseries and unemployment. Get away, wild beasts. Flee to the far corners of nothingness. Get away. History is on our side. No matter how long our struggle takes, no matter how dear sacrifices we have to pay, final victory is ours. We, the great whole that knows no fear. Our ancestors demand that we cleanse in one blood unseen flight of our enemies. We are the people of Azania. We are creators. We are the people who work. Revolution will come, leaders will come, but we will always continue the struggle because final victory is ours. Oh, holy fire of justice, covers into noble-minded men of moral integrity, to be of value to the people of Azania, to lead humanity out of a blind alley. Izweletu! Africa! Yalebo Africa.
Izweletu? Africa? One settler? One bullet? Comrades, you know, we invited the Sahrawi Democratic Republic's ambassador in South Africa to make a speech. He agreed, but he's held up by government programs somewhere in Kempton Park. But we in the planning committee for this occasion really would like to thank the people who have indicated their support for this occasion. And you can see we are broad and wide in bringing as many people as possible to support the Africa Liberation Day. Sahrawi is not recognized by the OAU and the AU because there's an internal struggle in Morocco where the Sahrawi people have said they are not part of the Kingdom of Morocco. You all know Morocco is also not part of the AU and they pulled out of the Organization of African Unity. These struggles that are taken up by people who are outside the formal forces are also important struggles for us to understand and support and talk about them with authority as Pan-Africanists. I want to point out something else, that Ruth First, one of the leaders of the Communist Party of South Africa and also the SACP, she was killed with a parcel bomb in Mozambique some years back. But Ruth First supported the struggle of the Sahrawi people. Now, us in the PAC were saying, if Ruth First supports the right to self-determination of the people of Sahara, what is the problem with supporting the right to self-determination of the people of Azania? Because she did not support that struggle. Now, most of the politicians and leaders are two-faced. They do double standards, including the current government. They would support Sahrawi, but they will not support the right of the African people to self-determination. Internationally, indigenous people have a right to their territory. And that must be recognized as a right that the people have in their territory. This in itself is the right to land, not just self-determination, the right to control their lands. They can accommodate everybody else, but they have a right to control our land. In our country, in South Africa, as we all know, they took 87% of the land to themselves, and they created Bantustans, which they controlled, where they put the natives. That is an injustice. It hasn't been corrected by CODESA. It hasn't been corrected by the people. Even when you go and vote, you don't correct them. This united front, the Azanian United Front, is going to transform that society. We cannot operate on that basis. What belongs to black people belongs to black people. What belongs to African people belongs to African people. And it will not happen that they give us on a silver platter. We must take it. We must take our land. And we have all avenues to use to take our land back. One of them is political. We must politicize the people so that people understand when we say we are fighting for land. What do we mean? It's not just fighting for a piece of ground. It's our right as a people to run our own country, because we've been here for generations and generations. The land belongs to us. We cannot allow settler colonialism to make this imbalance and continue with that imbalance. I'm saying this because talking about the Sahrawi and their rights is the same as the Azanian people and their rights. It's the same for the people of Zimbabwe and their rights. The same thing happens in Namibia as well. So we are not interested in flag independence that does not give us the material benefits of our freedom, of our struggle for freedom. We need to continue with that struggle and champion it at all times. Comrades, I was just saying this to clarify the absence of Sahara. The next artist, I think it is Mbali, the poet. Is she ready? If she's still preparing, we will continue. We have now done with statements of solidarity. We get to the core of our messages today. The 4 organizations that are here will then speak after Mbali. Will then take over this and make speeches. We'll get into that avenue almost immediately after this. They're here. Do you need the mic? Isoletu? Yeah. Africa?
I am reminded of our people despondently walking through the cold and dry buildings of the Rand Supreme Court to win
Mbali for that performance. It was really exciting to see young women coming up and performing in front of us. We are going to, in our main program, this is the main program, and we have 4 organizations that have put together this program, and they are going to be talking to us, teaching us, educating us about the struggle of Africa, the struggle of Azania, the struggle of African people and the struggle of black people. But before we do that, we need to really give energy to this platform, give energy to this room, and let's see, we are people of song and dance. We are people of energy. And I want to see that energy before we speak, before we celebrate our liberation heritage. Let's come together. Let's bring everybody inside and let's enjoy that we, African people, let's show it, demonstrate that we as African people can sing and can dance.
calling for, as we call on Comrade Jobe, the Secretary General of the Youth League of the NNLC, the Ngwane National Liberatory Congress, to come to the stage and introduce the President of the NNLC Youth League.
Izwe lethu to All African Revolutionary Party. Izwe lethu to Ngwane National Liberatory Congress. Amandla azapho amandla. Izwe lethu the Pan-Africanists of Azania. Africa, Secretary General of the Ngwane National Liberatory Congress, Africa Sibusiso Mthethwa, Comrade Jobe, Africa, who are from Swaziland, where the regime is suppressing us at all cost, was being suppressed by Mswati, who are saying now, down with Mswati, down with Makosative, down with Ngundla, down. Comrades, I'm here to introduce my president, Africa, Pega Mabuza, Comrade Mafafa, who are from Swaziland, who have been subjected to harsh conditions. The president served as the SRC president in the tertiary institution in Swaziland, where he was the president of the SRC. Then he served as the chairperson of the Ngwane National Liberatory Congress Youth League. And during his serving as SRC president, he was arrested by the Mswati's police. Victimization in Swaziland, there's no law in Swaziland actually. There's no law that is protecting us comrades in Swaziland. We are protected by, I don't know what I can say, but intelligence is protecting us. So the comrades who was arrested and coming for us to come here, you had to request passport from the Mshushis. You have to request passport so that you can come this side. Then you have to request that he's coming this side and explain why he's coming this side. You know, we are very, very oppressed in our country. So we are hoping one day, in solidarity with the Pan-Africanists, one day we will liberate the country of Swaziland. Isolate. The president can take over.
Thank you, Comrade Jobe. The president can talk to Africans.
Africa. Long live the undying spirit of Ngwane Ngrume, long live. Long live the fighting spirit of Dr. Ambrose Zwane, long live. Long live the defiant spirit of Robert Sobukwe, long live. Forward with the spirit of Steve Biko, forward. Israel to Program Director,
May I take this opportunity to send our revolutionary greetings to the 2023 African Liberation Day Planning Committee, the All African People's Revolutionary Party, AZAPO, PAC, and the NNSC. Greetings to all international guests and all sons and daughters of the soil present here. Standing in front of you have been introduced. I'm Comrade Pega Mafafa Mabuza, the Youth League President of NNSC, a Pan-Africanist organization that was formed in 1963 in Swaziland. I stand here under the authority of the president of the organization, which is Comrade Sibongile Mazibuko, who have authorized us to be present and deliver this message on behalf of the organization. Firstly, the scramble for Africa witnessed by our forefathers and mothers in the colonization of Africa by the 7 Western European powers under the new imperialism from 1833 and 1914 is a painful history which we will never allow to be erased or hidden away from our citizens and our children. The Berlin Conference of 1884 is the source of looting and killing of our African people. Given our 2023 African Liberation Day theme, imperialism and neocolonialism must be destroyed. As Africans, we are commanded that the time of imperialism and neocolonialism is over. Imperialism and neocolonialism have had significant effects on African countries, affecting their economies, politics, and society in various ways. For example, exploitation of natural resources, political instability, cultural disruption, social inequality, and economic dependence. As the current African generation, we must hold these imperialist forces accountable by working together with our brothers and sisters in the diaspora. As Kwame Nkrumah said, that the strength of the organized masses is invisible. We must organize like never before, because organization decides everything. We remain enormously indebted to President Kwame Nkrumah's contribution to the struggle for African liberation. His vision and working on Pan-Africanism remains significant and important scientific tool for us today. As the NNSC, we are grateful to work with the All African People's Revolutionary Party since our historical background as the NNSC, when our founding president and the Secretary General were waging a struggle against the Britain colonizers here in Swaziland. They managed to receive a car and resources that were donated by China to NNSC through the assistance of Kwame Nkrumah. It is unfortunate that we stand here today, that those resources and those party properties were forcefully seized and taken away from the organization in 12 April 1973, when the current absolute monarchy was introduced by then King Sobhuza II, where he made a king proclamation that political parties in Swaziland are being banned. And himself, he will then become the earthly god by assuming all legislative, executive, and judiciary powers. By that time, our founding president was a victim of the decree that was announced by King Sobhuza II. the 60 days detention without trial. He was arrested, and after being arrested, he then left to Tanzania, where he hidden in exile. He came back to Swaziland in 1997 when he was ill, and unfortunately he died on that time. African Liberation Day is a significant event that celebrates Africa's history, culture, and achievements, while renewing the commitment to the ongoing struggle for freedom, independence, and economic emancipation on continent and African diaspora. Fellow Africans, allow me to put into you and attention on the current political state of the Kingdom of Swaziland. The people of Swaziland have risen against King Mswati III dictatorship since the King's proclamation in 1973 up until today. Our serious problem we are facing as the people of Swaziland is that we are not free. The reason when someone is not free, he means his right to live, his right to life is being denied. That is why even today, we are still not taken as citizens in our own country. We are being taken as subjects in our own country. The call for freedom was also escalated by the mass insurrection of our people across the country in 2021. The June-July 2021 uprising was a political manifestation that has been boiling for decades due to dictatorship, nepotism, corruption, gross human rights abuse, lack of rule of law, economic decline, royal land grab, abuse of culture, marginalization of women, captured media, among others. It is so unfortunate that this has resulted to the massacre of our people, loss of public and private property, and the prosecution of many comrades, most whom remain incarcerated. These include members of parliament that were arrested 2 years ago by King Mswati III. Currently, it is a national elections year in the Kingdom of Swaziland, where the NNSC and all political parties in the political party assembly have resolved that there is no undemocratic one-party state election that have to take place. This declaration comes as a result because there is a political crisis in Swaziland, where our people are subjected to extreme violence by Mswati III. We have made it clear that elections must be decided by an inclusive political dialogue. When King Mswati III have made several times public statements that he is not ready to dialogue with the people of Swaziland. In his recent statement, when the SADC, under the leadership of the President of South Africa, Cyril Ramaphosa, advised him to dialogue with the people to solve the political crisis that we are facing, he said, "I cannot dialogue with darker smokers," saying to the freedom fighters. We want to make it clear once again, fellow Africans, that our struggle for freedom is not a struggle for compromise, but for drastically transforming our society. It is based on our ideological consciousness that political power without economic power is useless. And that is why our struggle must achieve both political power and economic power. As a political party, we have stated clearly that there is no political inclusive dialogue that will take place without meeting the following demands. Demand number one, as our comrades have been distributing these pamphlets, demand number one, before any dialogue takes place, all political parties in Swaziland must be unbanned. Before dialogue can take place, all our comrades in prison must be released. Before dialogue can take place, all our comrades that are in exile must come back to our country. We are not going to dialogue when our own freedom fighters are here in the neighboring countries running for their life because Mswati want to kill them. Terms and reference of the political dialogue must not be determined by the enemy. The result of that dialogue must be a result of what the masses and the people of Swaziland want. That is why we say we are not going to make any compromise. Our struggle and the call for freedom continues. The NNC, lastly, the NNC would like to appreciate the Pan-Africanist Congress of Azania, NEC, for their declaration they made from their previous NEC meeting that they stand with the oppressed people of Swaziland. That public declaration shows the commitment of the party of the revolutionary leader Robert Sobukwe. As the NNC, we want to make it clear that before NNC was formed in 1963, it was a result that our founding president, Dr. Ambrose Zwane, met Robert Sobukwe at the University of Fort Hare. We want to end by these words, that no matter the harsh conditions our people are subjected to, we are inspired by the words of the revolutionary leader, Robert Sobukwe, when he said, we are not afraid to face the consequences of our actions. And we are ready to continue with the struggle. Forward with the Unified Socialist Africa, forward! Israel too!
Thank you very much, Comrade Mafafa. We expected. Thank you, comrades. Thank you, comrades. Comrade Mafafa, we expected no less from you. Thank you very much for that statement. There is a reason why Swaziland is Swaziland. And there is a reason why NNLC refuses to call it Eswatini. If you talk to my why they refuse to recognize Swaziland as Eswatini. But as we progress forward with our program, I want to recognize the leadership of the liberation movement that is here. I do see members of the NEC and of the PAC and members of the Central Committee of AZAPO and the leadership of the NNLC. And about 9 comrades from the NNLC here. They are all scattered on the floor. But here with me is the president who has just spoken of the Youth League, Comrade Mafafa. You heard his voice. I'm not going to introduce Comrade John because we are going to be introducing him shortly. But there is also next to me or behind me, a comrade who is responsible for gender and women affairs in AZAPO, Comrade Tutushaba. And I also see the General Hlasa, he is at the back there, the national organizer of AZAPO. I also see the members of the Central Committee, the chairperson of Gauteng, Comrade, where is he? Khanare Lufuka, he was here now. Yeah, I see Comrade Matujana there, the Finance Secretary of AZAPO in Gauteng, and a couple of other leaders that are sitting there at the back. I don't see them. I see the Secretary General of the PAC was here behind me. I'm not sure where he disappeared to, Comrade Apapue. And I see my counterpart in the PAC, the National Chairperson, Comrade Sbu, is sitting there. Okay, so I think oh yeah, Comrade, you know Comrade Cheki, right? Who doesn't know Cheki Soroke? All right, as we do so, can we invite Ziwe to give us a performance? Ziwe is a saxophonist.
The indlela engwazi ukuthi ngizivoice ngayo ke. Okay, so the next song that I'm gonna do is actually a house song, house or mapiano, I'm not sure, but again, just to lighten up the mood. Hope you guys enjoy. Yeah, sure.
I'll see the beat
That's what I'm talking about. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. As we call on Comrade Professor John Trimble. John is going to be coming on stage now. And those of you who do not know who John is an embodiment of struggle. He has been in this thing for over 4 decades. When we speak of Kwame Ture, we speak of John Trimble, because we were together in the AAPRP, in the founding of the AAPRP in the 70s. That was 1974, 75, somewhere there, isn't it? Yeah, exactly. So he's been a member of the AAPRP since 1975, and he's still in it. He left the United Snakes because he did not belong there. He belonged to Africa, he belonged to where struggle is, and he refuses to go back. He says, this is home, and that is why his life has been spent traversing the continent, preaching the gospel of revolution. And he has been continuing to do that for the last 45 years, and today he's going to give us a lecture on that. Thank you, John.